So this is my Hammond C3, 1957, pretty much stock standard. The only real sort of modifications I've made are just to do with stability, reliability. I'll show them to you when we get behind the organ. And I believe it spent most of its life in a church and was treated with great respect. And then I got it. Alrighty, here it is, the back of the organ. What a beautiful, beautiful mess. The points of interest, I think, compared to maybe other Hammonds, is that it's 57 and it has the older scanner vibrato unit up here. Here is the standard preamp that comes in most C3s. This is all pretty much original. The only thing that you might notice is that this is normally a rectifier valve. Instead, this has been replaced with a solid state rectifier. It's just a bit of a weak point. It can potentially fail, which means that the transformer will start smoking.
And you don't want that to happen.
What is this big box here? Well, this is actually a new edition. I've only had this for a couple of years. If you watch some of my videos like live at Mitchell Creek in 2015, they had a generator out the back. So generators can often be a little bit off on their frequencies and potentially don't have enough power to keep that frequency stable. So if you notice on that show, sometimes when the lights are going and I'm screaming on the organ, the pitch actually starts to go down a little bit. In those examples, it sounds cool, but sometimes it just means the organ is unplayable. It's completely out of tune and there's nothing you can do about it unless someone can adjust the generator. So basically I got this put in just to stabilize it at 50 Hertz. So when I get onto that stage, if the power's a bit lacking, I still know that it's going to be right in tune and the band isn't going to look at me and go, what is going on? We've got the tone control. Because this is quite old and I haven't really done much to it, I find that it has dulled a little bit over the years. So I've got the tone up full to try and get as much brightness out of it as I can. All right, so this is my Trek 2 line out box. This is what allows me to have a guitar jack output and basically run that into my Leslie combo pedal, which I'll show you in a second. Has two outputs on it. One is a low pass. So if you're playing sort of bass pedals, you can kind of get those lower frequencies just into like a bass cabinet, or at least separate them so you can boost the bass and have it direct. But I just use the overall. Now I have that set to about 9 o'clock there. That seems to be a sweet spot for me. So that comes out of here, goes into my Leslie combo pedal. And the way you connect this up is very simple. I've just got it connected one to the ground and then one to the red terminal here, just out of the back of the preamp here. Really easy, nothing crazy going on there. So a question I get asked all the time about my Hammond is about its capacitors. This is a 1957, so it has the wax paper capacitors, whereas older ones have kind of the upgraded version, the red caps, which are more efficient and over time are more reliable. My wax paper ones, over time, they start to come a little faulty and the values start to waver a little, which can let in artifacts and some of the other tones of the organ into the sound of the organ, which was never really meant to be there. In a way, it gives it its own character. And this organ of mine definitely has a lot of character. Let's go check out the Leslie combo pedal. This thing is awesome. It basically allows me to go out of the back of the organ where I have the line out and the guitar jack, using a guitar cable into this sucker, give it some stick, and then feed it out to the Leslie. It's kind of based on the old ones, the Leslie combo pedals for, say, the 147 or the 9-pin or the 11 pins. But the biggest difference is this can have 4 Leslie outputs connected to it, where the other ones only had 1. And you can configure it any way you like. This is standard, so I've got the 147 amp, the 122 amp, the 9-pin and the 11-pin, which technically means you could run 4 Leslies at the same time. I should do a video on that. In the meantime, if you check out my Blues on Broadbeach video, you will notice that I'm playing 2 Leslies on that. And I'm using my 147 and also a 122, which was a higher Leslie amp, which sounded great. So I ran both of them at the same time. And that can all be controlled here with the speed control at the same time. So there's no weird trying to press two pedals at the same time, and it all just locks in perfectly. Go into the low. The tone I always set to full because over the years this Hammond has started to dull a bit, So I want to get as much treble on that as I can. And also the level, I just kind of set that generally to about halfway, or to where I think that I'm getting the, the nicest amount of distortion, or the right amount of distortion that I need. Let's go check out the Leslie. Here's my Leslie 145. This thing is awesome. I found this in a rehearsal studio in Marrickville in Sydney, in a corner, gathering dust. Then I found out that it's actually quite a rare one. It's a really good one, especially for Australia anyway. It's a early, like 65, 66 model, and I can tell because it's got the plywood here instead of the cheaper chipboard. So it's actually kind of a better cabinet than most. Also, it came with the V20 driver, which is slightly rarer. It's the early one before the V21. And also with the holy grail of all woofers, the P15L, which kind of all the jazz players want because it gives you that rich bass sound. Sounds a bit more like a double bass. So it's really sought after for the jazz players. It's such a great sounding Leslie. Some people might not believe that V20 horn is still in there, and it has never ever blown since I've been playing it. And I play it pretty hard, as you probably know. So I really hope I haven't just jinxed myself. I guess the only other thing I can say about the sound is the last couple of years, that P15L woofer in there, I did actually decide to change because I found that the bass was just, I guess, not punchy enough for me. For those kind of low power chords and things that I like to do from time to time. And those low sharp notes, the percussive notes. The Utah woofer just seemed to work a lot better for me. So I've for the meantime I've swapped that out, and I've had it like that for the last 4 or so years. I pretty much always wind that all the way up to 11. You might notice. I think most of them are like that. I don't know why. Maybe they thought it was funny. But yeah, it does go past 10 to a mystery 11, and that's where I like to keep it. Let's talk about miking it up, shall we? Well, the Hammonds are 57, so why wouldn't I use SM57s on the Leslie? I just find that they work. They just work. They sound great. They don't pick up too much, other stuff that you don't want. So you get a fairly direct sound. If you want to get a more natural room sound, that's easy. Then just set up a beautiful room mic somewhere. But this is not the best sounding room, so I like to keep it nice and tight and the sound nice and tight. So I use these 57s for the top. I like to really shoot them down the barrel. So if you can get the 57 basically looking right into the middle of the Leslie, and then I like to copy that with the other one as well, and try and get them the same distance and just not too far apart. I really don't like the sound of a Leslie when they mic it up 180 degrees. It just sounds a little too full on for me. It sounds a bit more natural when it's say 45 or just over 45, but that's just personal taste. You can set that up any way you like. The Leslie is a great sounding machine. You can't go too wrong. As far as the bottom end, I've got this beautiful Sennheiser mic here that a friend put me onto. It just has a great reaction to that sort of tight bottom end. So I have that there, I run that in mono, obviously run these two in stereo, and runs it to the computer. And that's about it, really. Let's have a little play, shall we? So there you have it, my 1957 Hammond C3 into my Leslie combo preamp pedal, the Trek 2 UC1A, into my Leslie 145, set it to cranking, and it should be rocking. If you like this video, why not like it? Subscribe. I'm probably going to do a few more little videos like this over time, but it'll mainly be the music.